Hello everybody and welcome to our information evening this evening. My name is Michael Painter. I'm the principal at BOA Stage and Screen Production Academy, and this evening is all about answering some of those questions you may have about the beginning of the new academic year. Now, before we start, I just want to draw your attention to the Q&A button. So you may see either in your app on your device or in your web browser, there is a button that says Q&A that has probably two little speech bubbles with question marks in. That will enable you to send us questions during the presentation and also to see responses to questions that either we've responded for you personally or that we're responding to everybody. You'll also be able to see announcements. I have behind me, you can't see them, but I have my two assistant principals in today who are going to be dealing with the questions on text chat, and then at the very end of the presentation I will answer verbally some of the more common questions that come in throughout the event. The other thing to say is that this event is being recorded, so by following the same link when we're finished you'll be able to view the recording, but we'll also send you a link to the recording via email after we're done. Okay, so moving forward. Today, the content of the presentation is going to focus on providing key dates for the year ahead, talking through the difference between enrolment and induction, talking you through an overview of our curriculum for Year 12 and the key major projects, introducing our timetable and our expectations around independent study, talking about additional subjects and the requirements for those, how we're going to report on progress to parents, carers and students. We'll talk a little bit about the induction pack, which you can expect to receive at the end of July, and the actions that you may need to take following receiving that pack. The equipment that you need to make sure you have with you to start in September. Uniform, summer projects and opportunities, and of course, a small part on transport, because I know that's on everyone's mind. So moving forward then. Key dates. So we land in September into the autumn term, and the first thing that Year 12 students will be asked to do is to come in for an enrolment appointment on either the 6th or 7th of September. Now you will get a personal invitation from our admissions team to a specific time slot for your appointment on one of those 2 days. Then your first full day is on the following Monday, the 12th of September, where we hit the ground running with a full timetable. We are closed for staff training on the last Friday before the half term. The half term break runs the 24th to the 28th of October, and the last day of term before Christmas is Friday the 16th of December. Now these term dates are broadly in line with the regional term dates, the Birmingham term dates. The only differences that you might notice are simply because I've planned staff training days at the beginning and the ends of terms. You can also find these term dates for download on our website in the term dates section, and you will also find a hard copy posted to you in your in your welcome pack at the end of July. The spring term runs from the 4th of January until the 30th of March, with a half-term break 20th to 24th of February, and we close on the 27th for a staff training day. And then finally, the summer term runs from the 18th of April to the 25th of July. There is a bank holiday in the middle of the first half term of the summer term, and we're also closing for training on the first Monday after the half term break to make sure teachers are well prepared for the final term of the year, which for many of our students is often the most important one. Okay, so those are key dates. Moving on, enrolment and induction. So enrolment, as I mentioned before, is on the 6th or 7th of September, depending on your personal invitation. It's a one-to-one meeting with your form teacher, which focuses first primarily on checking your ID, your personal details, and having a look at your exam results. So you must make sure that you bring with you your ID, proof of a right to work and learn in the UK if you're a foreign national, and exam results. All the information about that, again, is in the pack, which will be sent at the end of the month. During that meeting, you'll confirm your pathway for the final time. And we will also discuss your aspirations and your inspiration. So what you want to do, where you're going, and what inspires you. That will lead into discussions around additional subjects, whether you need to study English and Maths Resit, or whether you wish to take one of our other additional subjects. And of course, we will also discuss in those one-to-ones any additional support needs that you may have, and how we're going to support those moving into the new term. Once enrolment is done, as I say, we land into the full timetable for our 2-week induction on the 12th of September. And that is following our standard timetable, which I will talk about a little bit later on. During the induction, you'll have an introduction to the pathways and the courses, and you will do some basic safety drills in all of our different spaces so that you're able to use the studios and workshops. You'll do team building activities to get to know your peers. Core skills masterclasses in your particular pathway. So those will be acting and writing focused on the acting pathway, creative production focused on the creative production pathway, and technically focused for the technical production pathway. We're also running some trips and visits, of which you'll find some more information about in your welcome pack. But I can tell you that one of those trips we're planning is to the Harry Potter world, where you can see behind the scenes about Harry Potter, the movies and how they were made. And there'll be information about that in the pack. We are asking for a small contribution to the cost of the tickets and transport to the Harry Potter trip. But of course, as with all things like this, if you're struggling to afford to contribute, then we do have bursaries available and some other forms of assistance. You just need to let us know. Again, details about that will be in the pack, which you'll receive at the end of July. During induction weeks, we're also having guest speakers in from industry to serve as role models for you and to answer your questions. We will also be conducting some initial assessments in literacy and numeracy that will help us to plan how to support you with your kind of academic skills development over the course of the year. You will also set up your e-portfolio online, which is a website. And at the end of those 2 weeks, parents, friends, carers will be invited to a showcase where we will demonstrate the work and the learning that you've achieved in those first 2 weeks, which is always a great celebration. So that is enrolment and induction. Okay, so now thinking about the curriculum. So we have been working on finalising our curriculum for next academic year this term. It's normally the focus for staff at this time of year. And there are 4 main objectives for us with our curriculum at Stage and Screen. One, and the most important, is to provide all our students with the skills, knowledge, experience and qualifications to access the very best opportunities in the stage and screen industry and in higher education institutions and apprenticeships. One of the things that's unique about BOA Stage and Screen is that the projects the students do will actually give them real production credits on their CV, which go a long way to accessing that industry. Our other core aim is to deliver to the needs of the stage and screen industry in bridging the gap between the world of academia and the world of work. And a lot of work has gone into placing BOA Stage and Screen at the centre of the talent pipeline in the region to give students the best access to progression opportunities. We also have a mission to contribute to the levelling up and reform of the stage and screen industry, championing the cause for equality, diversity and inclusivity. Our industries have not always been the most inclusive environments to work in, so we intend for our students to be change makers. Finally, our fourth objective is to make a significant contribution to the wider BOA group by creating opportunities for all students from all academies, and in producing the BOA Academy performances and events and managing the Old Rep Theatre. I'm now going to give you a bit of an overview, which is our curriculum map for year 12. Now, when you start in September, students will be given a curriculum handbook that has a lot more detail about the projects and briefs that they'll be working on and our expectations around their qualifications. And parents will also be sent and be able to access via our website a curriculum handbook that gives you a much more granular detail of what students are working on, what assessments are due at any one time during the academic year. But this is a brief overview to give you a flavour. So I mentioned before that we spend the first couple of weeks working on induction projects, but as soon as those are done, we go into a period of 10 weeks on skills building, where students work towards a BTEC brief where they have to develop an online portfolio that demonstrates all of their knowledge and understanding around a variety of different roles, different performance and production styles, and different production processes and performance processes. Those are the box that you've just seen pop up on the screen there are the particular modules that that section of the year is contributing towards on their BTEC extended national diploma. Following the skills building period, we go into live briefs where the students are using those skills they have learned and applying them to outward facing projects for real clients. And next year we have our clients are the Old Rep Theatre for technical students, the Royal Shakespeare Company for acting and for production art students, and Method in Motion for our broadcast and video production students. The final major project component of the Year 12 map is called our major collaborative project. And this is where students for the first time come together across the pathways to form teams to create, in this case, a short film. The students are going to be working in collaboration with the BFI, which is the British Film Institute, and they're going to work a film from the concept of script all the way through production and delivery to then be entered and played in the Birmingham Film Festival in the summer. Now that is the project strand of our Year 12 curriculum, but running alongside that, still within the pathway, is work around building employability. So students will be working again towards a BTEC assignment brief, but this time that is on researching and understanding the history and context of the industries within which we work and the interconnectivity between those main organisations within our industries, and how employment opportunities work and what the future might hold for them. The students look at case studies and specific roles and the ways, the progression, the routes in which you get into those roles. They also build their professional portfolio, and working in collaboration with the author of the Freelance Bible, Alison Grade, they're going to work to build and set themselves up as a freelancer. Because one of our key objectives is that by the end of the 2 years, regardless of whether students are going to higher education or entering into the employment of someone else, they know that they can make a living using their craft and their expertise doing the things that they love as a freelancer. The second part of that employability strand, in the last 6 weeks of the academic year, once the final major project is concluded, is very much focused on work placements and facilitating some major shows. Students work on facilitating shows and events at our sister academies, at our theatre and at our partner theatres and studios. We also have arranged a festival stage in the city, which is sponsored by our 2 technical partners, Sound Technology and PRG, where the students will have a platform for their video productions as well as performances, and they will tech and live broadcast that stage and build the set and so on, which is really exciting. Now, those things are all managed within the pathway by the pathway specialist teachers, but outside of that strand of the course, but very much still integral to the student experience, is the personal and professional development. Now, students, rather than being in groups with other students in the same year on the same pathway, for their personal and professional development lessons, students work in a vertical tutor group. So essentially they are with students from different pathways and from both year groups, year 12 and 13, together and learning from each other, and their development is then supervised by a personal tutor who is trained as a coach and mentor. Now, a big proportion of that personal and professional development is focused on PSHE topics such as careers and healthy relationships and personal finance, but also there's a strong flavour of preparing for the next steps and progression and research, which is absolutely critical. And one of the core jobs of our personal tutors is to direct students onto the correct work placements and industry qualifications that facilitate their progression. And next year we already have lined up a range of opportunities with partners, including the Birmingham Royal Ballet, the Birmingham Hippodrome, 3Wise Entertainment, which is a television production company, Phil Wright Sound, Victoria Park Productions, Channel 4, Stafford Gatehouse Theatre, The Rep and BBC, to name a few. Students will be encouraged to go on to those placements throughout the academic year. Okay, so that's Year 12's map overall. So now a look at the timetable. So the academy week, the academy days run from 9 till 4:15 Monday to Thursday, and then 9 to 2:30 on a Friday. That's essentially a 28-hour week, with 6 one-hour blocks every day and 4 one-hour blocks on a Friday. That 28-hour week consists of 14 hours of pathway lectures and lessons, 2 hours of personal and professional development lessons and tutorials, and 5 to 10 hours of directed study time where students are either working on independent study tasks, the projects for their pathway work, they're out on placements, or they're studying on industry qualifications. Now, I say 5 to 10 hours because actually, if you look, that does add up. If I say 10 hours for everybody, that does nearly add up to the 28 hours across the week. But some students will need to study English and maths resit, which is up to 4 hours, so 2 hours per subject, 2 hours for English, 2 hours for maths if you don't have those subjects already. Or you could take up to 5 hours studying an additional A-level or extended project qualification. So as you can see, students are going to be very busy across their week. And actually, I should add that when we are in production, which means that if we are, say we're shooting a film, we're doing the production phase of a film over a week, or perhaps we are supporting the production, the performances at maybe the old Rep Theatre or the Rep Theatre for a week, we collapse the timetable and we have variable working hours, and just like in industry. So the most extreme example of that would be, say, where a student is working as a lighting technician on a performance at the old Rep Theatre, where they may have a technical get-in that starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, but may then be taking a show that doesn't finish until 9 o'clock at night. So sometimes the students do have to pull shifts from 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So of course we collapse and adjust our timetable to make sure that they're not overstretched around that period, and that they're well supported. However, what all of that does mean is that part-time jobs can be tricky. So we don't entirely discourage part-time jobs, but we do encourage students to take them outside of the academy day, so outside of those 9 o'clock till 4:15 hours Monday to Thursday, outside of that 9 o'clock till 2:30 hour on a Friday, so really that means weekend and evening work. But we also ask that students are really careful in choosing their employers, because sometimes employers are not flexible enough for the kinds of work and opportunities that we're asking students to do here. And it's always a real shame when a student has to miss out on a major opportunity because they've committed to, say, a shift at Pizza Hut, and therefore they're not able to go and take a show at the old Rep, for example. So please, be honest with your employer. If you are taking a part-time job, you need to be clear about the nature of the work you're doing at BOA stage and screen. I do also appreciate that some students may be in a position where they do need to contribute to the funding of their education and their travel. So in that case, of course, we do make exceptions and we can coach you and support you in managing a part-time job around your programme. But the preference is that you don't take one during the working week. Here are some illustrative examples of timetables. So this is the most simple, kind of simple timetable. So this is for a student who perhaps is just studying their pathway, so it's just following, say, creative production pathway. They don't need to resit English and maths at GCSE. They've chosen not to do English literature A level. They've chosen not to do the extended project qualification. So their week looks like this. They have Monday morning to work on independent study or their projects for pathway in the studios and workshops or out on placement, and they have pathway in the afternoon on the Monday. They have the same arrangement on Tuesday. On Wednesday they have pathway in the morning, a personal and professional development lesson at the start of the afternoon on Wednesday, and then 2 hours in the workshops and studios to work on their projects in the afternoon. Thursday, pathway in the morning, production and project time in the afternoon, and then Friday has pathway in the morning, industry qualifications, periods 3 and 4, and then professional and personal development just after lunch before that early finish. Speaking of lunch, we have a 15-minute break, 2 hours into the day, so about 11 o'clock, and then we have a 45 minutes to 1 hour lunch between periods 4 and 5, so around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So now to look at a slightly more complicated timetable, because some students do have different needs to others. So the next most popular timetable amongst our cohort, so I should say about 70% of our cohort would be on the simple timetable here, as I mentioned. However, looking at this year, about 15 to 20% of our cohort will need to resit one or other of GCSE or GCSE Maths or GCSE English if they don't get that grade 4. More on that in a moment. So if you do need to resit GCSE Maths, then that's on a Monday morning, period 2 and 3. If you need to resit GCSE English, that's on a Thursday afternoon, period 4 and 5. And you can immediately see the impact of that on that independent study and project time and placement time. So fingers crossed that you do pass those subjects. I'll talk more about why you have to study them in just a moment. So then, about 10% of our cohort, so 1 in 10 students, may choose to either study an additional A-level, which the one we're offering on site this year is A-level English Literature, or the extended project qualification, which I'll show you in just a moment. So A-level English Literature is taught in 5 hours a week. You can see that they're spread out so that we do 1 hour on a Monday morning, we're Wednesday afternoon, and then on that gap on Friday. Now, the more astute of you may have noticed that the English literature time on the Friday is at the same time as the other students will be doing industry qualifications. Now, to a certain extent, we can't avoid that impact. And I suppose the important thing to recognise is if you are choosing to take this A-level, which is in the end a 4th A-level, an additional qualification, then it is a compromise. So you are making a big commitment, which means that some opportunities you won't be able to access. Having said that, we are already planning to build industry qualifications into other independent study and pathway time, so you won't miss out entirely if you take English Literature A-level. The other academic additional subject that we offer is the extended project qualification that runs for 3 hours on a Tuesday. So again, it's using up some of your independent study time. But it is worth remembering that an extended project qualification is an academic research project and will require additional time beyond the time that's spent in the classroom working on that project. So students who take that must be prepared to put in some time outside of the school timetable. Okay, those are my example timetables. Students can do a combination of options, and we will confirm the timetable in enrolment when students come to sign fully up onto the course in September, on the 6th or 7th of September. So now a bit more information about the additional subjects, because I'm aware I've alluded to them already, or done more than that. So the first thing is understanding GCSE Maths and English. So the truth is that students are not funded to study at post-16 unless A, they have Maths and English at grade 4 or above at GCSE, or B, they are studying towards those subjects at the same time as pursuing their vocational studies, which means that if you do not have a grade 4 or above in maths, then you will be studying maths GCSE with us. If you do, English is a little bit more complicated in that you don't have to study it again if you have a grade 4 in English language or a grade 4 in English literature. So in other words, if you have your grade 4 in English literature, you do not need to resit English. If you have your grade 4 in English language, you do not need to resit English. But you do, if you do not have a grade 4 in either English language or English literature, then you will have to resit GCSE English language. Okay. Now, in terms of the A-level English literature, which we're offering on site, again, you must remember this is a significant commitment that's using up some of your project independent and placement time during the week. And it is an additional A-level. So we are putting a lot of pressure in the nicest way possible on students to achieve well in their pathways, because our main mission is to get them into the industry and to make sure they're highly successful. So the students are going to be working towards the highest grades on their pathway, which is worth 3 A-levels. So to take on a 4th A-level on top of that, the A-level English literature, is no mean feat. So our entry requirements, therefore, are we want to see evidence that you can handle lots of courses at once, which means we need to see at least 5 good GCSEs to see that you manage that when you're in year 11. We also need to see a grade 6 in English language, because that proves you have the communication skills to access the English literature A-level. And we advise that you have a grade 7 in English literature at GCSE, but we will accept students who have a grade 6. And actually, what I should say on top of all of that is we understand the impact of COVID on everybody over the recent years. So, of course, we will consider every individual student's application to take an additional subject on its own merits. And on the enrolment days, that's precisely what that one-to-one discussion between the tutor and the student is about. It's about trying to work out, right, do you want to take, do you need to take any additional subjects? And would it be appropriate for us to enter you on those at that time? Which leads me on to the last qualification, which is the AS level extended project qualification, which is very much like a dissertation project at university, if at a slightly lower level. And we introduced it because we had in mind that students would want to learn, or some students would want to learn more about creative and writing and script writing than perhaps we're offering in the pathways. And unfortunately, the government scrapped the A level in creative writing in the last couple of years. So we thought, right, we'll do an extended project in that run by our expert in writing. However, the extended project qualification is also open for students who want to pursue an academic research project into anything. So if you wanted to, say, research famous painters from the Middle Ages and produce a final painting in the style of, then you could do that. If you wanted, we've had students in the past research serial killers in the UK and their main motives. That was a young lady who was interested in law. We've had students study historical projects or do research projects around psychology. So by all means, students are able to pursue those as part of the EPQ. It's a good opportunity to scrub up on your academic skills, but again, it's a big commitment. It requires independence and a significant amount of motivation because it's a self-initiated research project. And it does require that you have, again, 5 good GCSEs, including your English language, in order to access that qualification. Let's not forget, though, BOA Stage and Screen is all about the pathway. So how will we keep students and parents informed of their progress during the course of the 2 years? So students will be getting regular feedback. In fact, not only in the classroom during their lessons, but also every 3 weeks, teachers mark the students' work and update their personal feedback tracker that then supports the students in action planning and improving their work. What we do, though, as an SLT team, and then report to you, is we take a progress measure, a snapshot of progress every half term, and we send that home to you on a grade card via email. And the kind of key information that we will collect and send home is, number one, the target grade for their qualification, which we set at the beginning of the year based on their starting points and our aspirations for those learners, and then don't normally change them. And for most of our students, I'm literally talking 90% of our students, that is a triple distinction star, which is worth 3 A stars at A level. We then report on how the teachers believe those students are going to do in their current module of learning. So a predicted grade for their current module of learning. We also report on any grades that the students have banked and secured in past modules of learning. And then we put that information together and we tell you what we think their final qualification grade is going to be. And you can tell then, and we can tell, whether a student is on track or not by comparing the target qualification grade to our predicted qualification grade. And you can rest assured that if the two don't match, then there is action being taken at the academy to accelerate students' learning. We also report with a simple work ethic grade that tries to capture in one measure whether students are meeting our expectations in class and whether they're completing independent study. And of course, the purpose of these progress snapshots is to trigger communication with you, the parents and carers and students. So, you know, it isn't just a case of us sending you data. We obviously follow up with phone calls and appointments and so on where required, and praise postcards and all sorts. In addition to those grade cards, we also invite you to a settling in evening in October, where you can review with your students' personal tutor how they've settled into the dynamic of the academy. We have a progress review evening, like a parents' evening, in May, where we look at students' progress with their qualifications and any individual actions in place. And then we provide at the very end of Year 12 a full written report in July that summarises the students' achievements and their main focus areas moving forward. Okay, the induction pack. So I've already mentioned that we're going to be sending an induction pack home to parents, carers and students towards the end of July. It's going to contain the information about term dates, a home academy contract for you to sign and return during your enrolment days, information on our vision and ethos, our uniform guide, behaviour and attendance expectations, and how to report an absence, our code of conduct, travel guidance, some guidance on preparation and equipment, safety guidance, a bursary application form for students to access further funding, and also information about any upcoming trips and costs of those, which I mentioned earlier. You'll also receive an email from our admissions team that will confirm your enrolment appointment on either the 6th or 7th of September. And they will also ask you to fill in a further online information form that provides us with the last bits of information we need to move you from an applicant and who's accepted their place to a student on the BOA stage and screen roll. So please look out for that. A little bit about equipment. So, you know, we are a digital academy. We absolutely encourage digital work, but there is absolutely definitely a need for pens, rulers, pencils, highlighters, and a decent notebook. In our industry still today, even in the most technical broadcast industry pathway, it's still an expectation that when you go to a team meeting, you arrive with a notebook ready to take notes. And those are the expectations that we're trying to build still in our learners. So students must come with a notebook, pens, pencils, ruler, highlighters, and then some kind of folder or binder within which to keep loose paperwork, which they do in class. On top of that, talking about digital, we do expect that our students at post 16 do have their own device to work on towards most of their work, and we provide a lot of digital equipment at the academy. The students will find they're in classrooms with PCs and Macs often. We even have bookable laptops for students to use in the study centre. But we do encourage the use of devices in classrooms, but only basic devices really. So something that can run Microsoft Office applications, which we provide for free for all of our students. Something that students can use for browsing the internet, for taking photos and video of what they're working on at the time. Now, it may appear on first glance that a smartphone might be a good solution, but what we do actually find is that is a hindrance when students are trying to make notes. So we do encourage the use of smartphones, but it isn't really a suitable digital device for making notes and working on coursework. So if you are choosing a digital device over the next few months to bring in September, then try and choose something that has a keyboard, or at least can have a keyboard accessory attached, as most tablets, for example, can. You'll find that in your welcome pack, we provide more information about this and some examples. And in years past, we found that something that is perfectly suitable can be purchased from companies like Currys for less than £200 that will do the basic job here. And also there's a number of places you can get them second hand. Again, students who qualify for a bursary can spend some of their money that they get through the bursary system on that. And we do have an IT entitlement program for students where maybe they don't qualify for a bursary, but they also can't afford a device at the moment. And we have a limited number of laptops which we can distribute to students in that situation. And of course, as I mentioned before, we have plenty of technology in the academy, and we have laptops which students can book out. So, you know, if students can't work on equipment at home, they can work here. More on that in the welcome pack. There is a big caveat to this, of course. Now, I'm aware that some students will want really specialist, fancy laptops and equipment to come here. And what I would say to that is wait, just wait. So if you're considering to buy a high power laptop, if you're considering buying a MacBook, if you're considering buying a camera or any specialist tools for using in the workshop or anything like that, please wait. Wait until you've been through induction and you've learned more about the particular software and equipment that we are using and how to judge the difference between a really well-spec'd, good value piece of equipment and a really expensive labelled piece of equipment. So wait until you've done induction. You can absolutely get by through induction without a personal device if that's the reason why you're waiting. Okay, uniform then. So uniform, as you may already be aware, can be purchased by going to our swischoolwear.co.uk. There's a link to this website on our website in the uniform section under Academy Life, but there's also information about this in the enrolment pack, which we'll send you at the end of the month. Now, the uniform, make sure that when you sign up to the SWI website, you choose the correct academy. There are many this website services many schools, and you'll see that there are 2 in the list that start with Birmingham Ormiston. This might seem obvious, but our one is the Birmingham Ormiston Stage and Screen P Academy, P for production. Don't just choose Birmingham Ormiston Academy, or you'll end up with the uniform with the wrong logo on. Our uniform is BOA Stage and Screen branded tops. So at the moment, you can order a collared t-shirt with our logo on, a long-sleeved collarless t-shirt with our logo on, and a hoodie with our logo on. You don't need all three, but you have to be wearing something with our logo on all day. So if you're not going to buy a hoodie, if you're just going to buy a t-shirt, then you need to think that maybe you're going to be cold during the day, but we won't allow you to wear another jumper, so you should probably have the hoodie. If you're only going to buy the hoodie, you need to think, well, you can't take that off then during the day. So really, the ideal is that you buy a t-shirt and a hoodie. We are looking at adding some more options to the list. So we've already asked the company to provide us with a short-sleeved, collarless t-shirt. And also, we are currently looking at providing a zip-up black hoodie, but we are at the mercy of SWI Schools Wear as to when they'll make those available. So please don't put off ordering your uniform, waiting for those to become available, because I can tell you with the t-shirt, we've been waiting for nearly 12 months already. With the state of the world at the moment, I can't guarantee how soon those will come online. In terms of the rest of the uniform, the main thing is black hard-wearing trousers, and the style of black hard-wearing trousers will depend mostly on your pathway of choice. So if you're on technical production and you're spending most of your time crawling around in gaps and on the floor, then obviously you want hard-wearing trousers with tough knees. Denim, for example, is suitable. However, if you're on the acting and writing pathway, perhaps something that's got much more flexibility in it would be more appropriate. We don't want any logos on those black trousers because we don't want you to stand out unless you're on stage in the limelight. So they need to be plain black trousers, and they shouldn't have any rips in them because rips can be dangerous when we're performing, when we're in workshops, and when we're around equipment. In terms of the footwear, and hair, it's a similar outlook really. We're talking about professional standards here. So I don't mind what footwear you wear as long as you're not doing anything dangerous. So you don't wear high heels when you're working on a angle grinder, for example. Very silly. And the hair is the same. Don't mind what color, don't mind what hairstyle, but think about the job that you're doing. If it's something big and outrageous that's going to get tangled in camera equipment or lighting equipment or catch on fire in the workshop, it's a bad idea. That's pretty much as far as I go with that. With the piercings, we appreciate that we are working in a creative industry, and we don't want to restrict people's expression. However, we need to think about safety and standards. So A, you mustn't have any piercings that can get caught on things. So big earrings like chains and things, dangerous in our situation. And if you are going to go for more piercings, let's say you've got some facial piercings or you've got some ear studs and things that to any average person might look at them and say, you've got more than average piercings here. You need to be prepared that in some situations you're just going to have to take them out because it's part of the professional persona that you need to adhere to in that situation. So in some venues, for some employers, you may need to take out lots of those piercings. So I recommend that if you're someone with lots of piercings, have some of those kind of piercing protectors that you can buy that you can put in to stop them healing up when you do have to take them out. Travel. So I'm aware that parents will be anxious about travel, probably students will too, because travelling to BOA Stage and Screen Academy for people outside of Birmingham isn't as simple as just getting a train for many. So I've done a bit of research here, which is available on our website and also from downloading this presentation after today. So these are the most popular routes in for our students currently. So a number of students go to the Jewellery Quarter train station and then they do the 16-17 minute walk over from the Jewellery Quarter down to BOA Stage and Screen. Do bear in mind, however, if you're planning your timetable you're travelling, sorry, to get here at the last minute, that actually it takes teenagers a bit longer than 16 minutes to walk from that station, so do plan in advance. Also, travelling from Moore Street station is really advised by bus. It's too far to walk in a short amount of time, but it can be done in 12 minutes, including the walking if you travel by bus. And the same from Birmingham New Street station, it can be done in less than 20 minutes, including the walking if you travel by bus. And when I looked at the bus costs, if you buy the most expensive train pass on a weekly basis that takes you through all 5 zones of the West Midlands, adding bus to that is only £3 a week. So it goes up from 14 to £3 a week. And if you're not already thinking about it, you should absolutely sign up for the 16 to 19 photo card from Network West Midlands, which will give you access to children's prices on bus and rail and trams. So because you're 16, you'll get charged adult prices otherwise. So sign up for that photo card. It's free to sign up for it and then access those children's prices. And if you can, buy as much travel in advance as you can. So for example, they offer term passes. So a train term pass is £147 a term, and for just £9 extra you can add bus and tram travel to that. So that's with all 5 zones as well. So that's probably the most expensive option for you. I've put on this slide here the adult travel cost, just so you can see how much money can be saved by doing the 16 to 19 photo card. I do appreciate that some people will be travelling from just outside the West Midlands area. You may be crossing into 2 different network providers. If you're struggling to find best value for money, then do just email info@boa.stageandscreen.co.uk and somebody will get back to you to try and help you work out that best value travel pass. Here are some examples of the travelling. So this is from the Jewellery Quarter, the Route 8A. This is from Birmingham Moor Street, or just across the road from Birmingham Moor Street, the Route 87. And this is the Route 82, or 87 actually, which is most popular with students who travel from Birmingham New Street down the bottom there. They walk up to the park, get the train from there. This is all available on our website. Okay, so just coming to the end now. So summer projects. Our teachers are keen to set students some creative summer projects to do over the break. And this isn't a requirement at all, and they will just be short creative briefs like try and make a film about this, design a costume for this, write a short script or film a video about this, that kind of thing. And we strongly encourage students to have a go at these. They'll go live on our website, and we'll also send you information about them in the induction pack, which will come at the end of the month. But why we do them is actually because it serves as a really great conversation starter, an icebreaker in September for students, not only between them and their teachers, but also between each other. So it's absolutely worth having a go. And we will offer some prizes for the best projects and some kudos. So it's absolutely worth giving it a good go. That is my last slide. So now what we're going to do is take some questions by the Q&A chat. So my colleagues behind me will keep answering those, and I'm going to pick up some of the ones which have been most popular. So I'm just going to turn my mic off for 1 second and just talk to my colleagues about which questions we think we should answer. But if you have questions now, please send them in on the Q&A chat and we will respond to them. Okay, so actually, I'm hoping we haven't had that many, so I'm hoping that's because I've tackled most things in my presentation, and you can find out most information on the website, but there's a few things that we know come up quite often, so I'll just go through those before we finish the event. The first one, when will we get our timetable? So we will give you your timetable when you enroll. So on the 6th or 7th, you will be given your actual timetable on that day for the weeks ahead. But I have shared in this presentation an overview of what the timetable will look like. I should add a big caveat to that, you know, we are still in the planning phases and there may be some small changes between now and September, but you will get your full timetable when you enroll. I've just seen a question come up. How will we be able to apply for bursaries? So in the pack, the physical pack that you will get at the end of July, there is an application form which you fill in, and it has details of who to send it to in order to apply to your bursary. Ultimately, we manage that for you. So you fill in the form, it comes to us, we send that to the DFE and draw down the money and then make those payments to you. When do we choose our options? So you'll find information in this presentation and various other things going home, and in the welcome pack that goes home at the end of the month, about those options that are available, but you don't have to choose until you actually enroll on the 6th or 7th of September. Some of you may be asking about other A levels, and the truth is I can't offer anything other than the extended project qualification and the English literature A level on site. However, I am prepared to explore the option, and I'm not making any promises, but I'm prepared to explore the option of students slipping into BOA Creative Digital Performing Arts Academy A-level classes. But it is a tricky one, and we would need to send you over in a taxi several times a week. I would strongly advise against it, but like I say, we take every case on its merits. Now, the A-levels that BOA Creative Digital Performing Arts Academy may be able to slip students into would be geography, history and maths. But do think carefully before you put yourself forward for that. I wouldn't normally offer that, but this year, as you may or may not be aware, we've moved the broadcast pathway from BOA Creative Digital Performing Arts over to BOA Stage and Screen Production, and those students would have already applied to BOA Creative Digital Performing Arts expecting to take those A levels. So we are making them available to everybody, on the caveat that I cannot promise until I've seen numbers and we've looked at how we will manage the transport. Will we work much with BOA Creative Digital Performing Arts Academy? Yes, you will. So a number of our projects involve working either with students on the creative and performing pathways over at BOA, working in the radio stations and the theatre at BOA. We also send one of our work placements on rotation across the year. Students go over and spend time on a crew in the BOA theatre and studios, so performing one of a number of roles, everything from runners and production stage managers to lighting operators, sound operators, camera operators and vision mixers. And we also work with BOA Digital on producing and working with the younger students, and we do an awful lot of work at the Old Rep Theatre, which is obviously our main theatre associated with the Academy, which essentially our students run. What equipment do we have? So we have a huge range. I mean, one of the most important things about the Academy was making sure we could offer industry standard equipment. So Production Resource Group, PRG, provide us with the very latest cutting edge lights, both studio and theatrical lighting, projection, video walls, LED lanterns, staging and all of those kind of things. We keep absolutely current there. And then our broadcast and technical equipment has all been installed this year, bought with a budget specifically to make it industry standard. So we have a partnership with Blackmagic Design, who provide our cameras, where we have the very latest Ursa broadcast cinematic cameras. We have a 40 channel vision mixer in our gallery, multiple camera control units. We have 10 cinematic camera packages that include lighting and sound recorders and cinematic cameras for students to go and film their videos. We have multi-camera, we have a 4-camera multi-camera rig which goes out on site. We have a fully equipped workshop with a range of power tools and specialist equipment, programmed CNC equipment, programmable CNC equipment for prop making. We have 3D printers. We have a Mac suite full of Apple Macs for design. We have a PC suite specially for video editing and new media editing and motion capture and so on. We have 3 television studios, drama studios, sound systems, PAs, touring PA system, you name it, we've got it. This is the place to come for the latest kit. What else have I got? Yeah, so if anybody is concerned about not being able to attend or participate in any of the activities that we're doing between now and September, please don't be. So it's all from a selfish perspective, it's all about keeping students warm and making sure that you're still excited about coming in September. So if you can't make the masterclasses on Thursday, then don't worry about it. You know, it's not the end of the world. If you have only been able to watch this through the recording, please don't worry about it. If you're away and you can't take part, therefore, in doing the summer task that we set, again, you know, you haven't actually started with us. There's no massive requirement for you to do these. We just like to keep you all excited about September. if there's a problem with summer holidays clashing with enrolment, then that isn't unusual. I mean, obviously you should try and avoid that, but if there is a holiday that clashes with the beginning of term, when you get that email and letter from the admissions team telling you your appointment for enrolment, you just need to reply and explain your circumstances, and we will make alternative arrangements for you that suit your time frame. Okay, let's see. So what can we expect from extracurriculars? That's a good question. So extracurriculars, I suppose the thing is that the very nature of the academy means that there is a lot of extracurricular activity going on directly related to our pathways. So outside of your pathway time, there are all those placements and projects which you're working on specifically to your pathways. I'm going to assume that we mean in addition to that. So we have an esports club that's just starting up. We have film club. We have some students and a teacher who are interested in setting up a chess club. Really, we are just in our first year. We've been in our building since April. The teachers are all talking about extracurricular activities that they can offer in September. We have BOA TV, student-led businesses, BOA TV and B2 Radio, which we run in collaboration with the radio studios over at BOA, the original BOA. So yes, I think we've got a range going on, but also we're open to offering more next year. And I know the teachers are really keen to get started with offering some clubs to do after school. So travel about coming from the city centre and travelling alone. So the truth is that at those times of day, you go to any of those main stations at the times of day that lessons start for BOA academies, and you will see that on the buses and trains they're just full of students in our uniform. And I've aligned our timetable so that it works exactly with BOA's timetable. So year 12 students at BOA Creative Digital Performing Arts Academy are studying at the same time as BOA students at BOA Stage and Screen Production Academy. So you will find that on the buses and on the trains there are many students from your academy already travelling. But by all means, in our induction activities, in that induction 2 weeks, we actually run an activity which is travelling to and from the city centre on the main public transport, and we do arrange buddies for students who feel that they want to have somebody to travel with. In fact, to be honest, we try and set up small groups of students to travel together. So that's absolutely on the way. Are parents able to support and attend? So I think there will be, you can wait in the academy while students have their one-to-ones with their personal tutors. And if students want to call you into the meeting, then that's fine. But I think what's important is that that meeting is between the student and their personal tutor. So absolutely parents can be on hand to support, but that meeting is for the student and personal tutor to have that first one-to-one. But we won't kick you out. Let's see, I think I've dealt with when is the induction day. So it's the difference between induction and enrolment. So your enrolment days, the day where you come in for that one-to-one appointment, will either be on the 6th or the 7th of September. So our admissions team will write to you and confirm your appointment fairly shortly. But your induction is actually just the first 2 weeks of your course. So induction is just what we call the first 2 weeks, and the first day of full teaching starts on the 12th of September. So that's when your induction starts. How often will there be collaborations between the academies in the BOA group? So there are, I'm just going to ask my colleague behind me, Mr. Latham, how many BOA shows do we participate in across the year? So 25 to 30 different collaborative BOA shows we work on. But of course, for each of those shows, there's more than one night as well. So that should give you an idea of the kind of collaboration that we're talking about. Right, do I have any more on my list that we were expecting? So how do I claim free school meals? So we'll have a system in place. Again, it's on those enrolment days, and during induction, we gather all that information about students. We actually gather information from your previous schools as well. It comes in as a digital file, but sometimes it can take a little bit of time for schools to share that information with us. But that tells us about whether you've had free school meals in the past. We'll also survey you when you come in, and we have a digital system to find out which students get free school meals. So we will make sure that we're all over that and that there are meals for you at the academy if you are eligible even. How often are we set homework? So we don't, strictly speaking, we don't set homework, but what we do is alongside all of your pathway work, your qualification requires that you work on your projects outside of your pathway lectures and lessons. So you're expected to move things along between those lectures and lessons. So whilst we don't call it homework, we do set specific objectives for you to achieve between lessons, which I guess is the same thing. And that's done on a daily or weekly basis, actually, and it's work for you to complete in those independent study and project periods during the week. Yes, it is an adult learning. Sorry, I keep forgetting to read you the questions. The question is, are students allowed to leave the building in their free periods? Absolutely, yes. So this is an adult learning environment. You can come and go from the building during those free periods. In fact, it's expected. If I give you an example of how you might use your project time, it may well be that you and a team of students are making a feature film, and therefore the time when you go out on location to go and film in a local neighborhood or out in the city or a nature reserve somewhere or anywhere else is in those independent study periods. So that's absolutely what you should be doing in those times. But obviously what we don't expect is that during those periods that you are just kind of chilling out and not doing anything, because they are there to work on your project. But yeah, this is an adult learning environment. You're committed to those lecture times when you must be there every time, on time. But then the other time is your self-directed working on your qualification, obviously with support of our technicians on site if that's what you want. We also do have facilities dedicated to students working in their free periods. So we have a learning resource centre, which is like a student study centre where students can go to work. And if those other workshops are free or there's space in the workshops, and the students work there. So we'll have, for example, it's not unusual to have year 13s having a lesson in the corner or working on a project in the corner of the workshop, whilst year 12s on their free periods are working at the other end of the workshop on one of their projects. So the facilities are absolutely available. Okay, have I got any more on my list? We are nearly done. We're going to sign off in 3 minutes. Where do I purchase uniform? I think you can find that information in this PowerPoint, but you can purchase uniform. We can only purchase uniform from that one seller at the moment, that online provider. You can find details of that on our website, and you'll also get it from this presentation and also in our information pack that you'll get at the end of the month. So questions have stopped coming in. I think I've spoken to everything on my list. We've been through the presentation. As always, if you have any further questions, then you only need to phone the Academy or email info@boa-stageandscreenacademy.co.uk. Sorry, boa-stageandscreen.co.uk, and someone will get back to you promptly. Thank you very much for attending or for watching this in its recorded format after today. And we very much look forward to welcoming those of you who come on Thursday to our workshops, and then to seeing everybody in September for what is going to be an absolutely fantastic year 12 experience for you. So without further ado, goodbye, and I hope to see you soon.